Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Framerate is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
Attention, or, in fact, the world ever needed heroes. That time is now. That time is now.
In the great hall of the Justice League. Of the Justice League. In the great hall of the Justice League. Of the Justice League. Super friends, we need your help.
Storm's getting worse.
Our exploratory diving bell here. Cape the Mummy is here in Barry Wong and his assistant Mary Nelson, and that is all the computers indicate that whatever caused it came somewhere.
It's Frame Rate.
Hey, Tom, how's it going? I'm doing good over there. How you, Brian? We both have to shout really loud to each other to make sure that the Skype doesn't chew out our messaging. Like, Tom, can you hear me on the other side of the world?
Because I am in Orlando, Florida tonight, where Brian has previously done the show, so I just felt like a copycat and figured I should do the show from Orlando.
Yeah, we roll in shifts, man. It's like I do a stint in Florida, you do a stint in Florida, and then we forget the country ever existed.
But, I don't know if you partied like this when you were in Florida,
Well, are you drinking Pellegrino straight from the tap?
You go
Wow.
Pellegrino bottle. I got some grapes sent up to my hotel room. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Well, I have a homeless man sitting behind me.
That man lives in Orlando, Florida. I know who that man is. What is he doing there?
That's Justin Robert Young, who
Free Mandela.
he said that no lie, he said, if I seriously promise not to lick you, could I sit and watch frame rates? So
Yeah,
he's
well,
on probation right now.
What a lot of people don't realize is that Justin Robert Young, the man sitting behind Brian, co-host of NSFW show, is legally prohibited from licking Brian outside of the state of Florida.
Only in the warehouse is where he's able to rock his bizarre, freakish ways.
So he doesn't want to risk running afoul of the law again.
That's right. He does. He's on probation right now. He doesn't want to go back at the slammer. What'd you do? I licked Brian Brushwood. I thought that was
Yeah,
legal.
for licking Brushwood again, jury.
It's a real 3 licks and you're out policy. And I had 1 lick on me before I had the Brian. So,
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that.
Hey,
All right,
man.
well, how about that Super Friends Open? That was freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's a remix mashup of a bunch of pieces of the Super Friends, which I just have. I mean, you want to talk about untapped well of nostalgia back when I was a kid. I have deep abiding love for the Super Friends show, and so all of that. You can find that just That Time Is Now by Michael Kohler is what that's called. Find that out on YouTube. It's pretty badass and only got like 79,000 views. That was sent in by one of our listeners who
From Chicago.
Yes, that's right.
Ken
Kid from Chicago.
Chicago.
That's who sent it in. That's right.
Yep. All right, without further ado, let's move into the big story.
This just in, the big story.
I have a feeling this is going to be in the Saturday Night Live spoof of Frame Rate, because the big story, once again, is Netflix.
It's look, I mean, we are obviously partial to certain types of stories. We love new media versus old media stories. We love stories about the changing landscape of the way we enjoy our content. And let's face it, there's one player who's at the forefront, who's at the cutting edge, who he's like the guy at the party that's got, like, everyone's pissed off and they have to act like they like him because they know he's going to state this year.
Oh, hey, Netflix. How's it going?
Hey guys, what's going on? I don't know. Did you hear that I just cut another deal with my buddy Stars?
Yeah, I heard about that. It's great. Good job.
It's awesome.
How about
Hey,
that,
listen, I'm
Netflix?
going to go get another fruit plate and some Pellegrino. I'll see you in a bit, Netflix.
All right, Netflix.
Yeah.
All the quiche.
Yeah, so the story is actually Greg Sandoval, who does an excellent job covering this space for CNET, has a kind of in-depth article. Actually, not kind of. That's insulting. It's an in-depth article about Netflix and the reason that Hollywood is starting to get spooked by them. They've never been a darling of Hollywood, but they've been treated with a lot more friendliness than some other internet companies. And now it's becoming to a point where Netflix is seen as the disruptor. They're gaining too much power, and they're worried about what happened with Apple iTunes to the music industry happening to Netflix, which is having all of the power in one company, and they set the price, and it limits the profits.
Well, and I'll tell you, it didn't have to be that way with Apple, but Apple was the first people to be like, look, we're going to do this. We're going to do something that makes sense, whether it's fair or not. We're going to do this. And it became the de facto standard because it got people enough of what they wanted out of the music experience that they weren't getting beforehand. And likewise, Netflix is in a position to do that. I love the way he started the story here. If I could read just the first paragraph, because I think it's fair to Hollywood. He says, Hollywood film executives want you to know that they are not at war with Netflix or the internet. Some of them told me over the past week they have every intention to continue to distribute films and TV shows over the web and at attractive prices to boot. They plan to provide viewers with a multitude of ways to access internet content on web-connected handhelds and TVs, video game consoles, and iPads. Only don't ask them to do all this at the expense of the long-term health of their business. And that's what it is. It's like, oh, no, the internet's great, man. Just don't ask us to change anything about what we're doing.
Yeah, they are still afraid of threatening the base of their sales, even as it declines of DVDs, theater ticket sales, all of that stuff, and rightly so. Let's run through the red flags, though. Greg lays them out really well in this article. Number one, Netflix siphons off sales from other important areas, such as airlines. Since more airlines are offering in-flight internet access, a Netflix account means fewer people may be tempted to purchase movies offered by the carrier.
Yeah, that first of all, I think it's a bit optimistic to say that anybody on the as far as the internet access I've seen on planes, I would be awfully impressed if you got anything like a satisfactory Netflix instant streaming experience on.
Yeah, I was just on a Virgin flight out here with the Wi-Fi. Great for checking my email, doing a little document manipulation in Google Docs was okay. It was a little buggy though sometimes. Any video I tried to play, I could get maybe 5 or 10 seconds out of it before it stopped and buffered for another 30 seconds. You just aren't able to do it. They don't have the sustained bandwidth. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't sometime get the ability to do that. But that's being afraid of a long time in the future. Seize that market now while it's not a threat so that you control it when it becomes a threat. Well, otherwise, you're going to end up doing the reverse.
In the meantime, also keep in mind that maybe they are seeing a drop-off of movie purchases in flight, but in that case, the people you got to blame are Apple, because I'll load up my iPad with a bunch of movies right before I get on a plane, and then and I'm certainly not going to buy them in flight. Of course, I probably wouldn't buy them in flight anyway, but I thought that was an interesting side detriment.
And here's the other thing about this, right? Which is, did people not pay for Netflix? Do they not pay for iTunes? Like, if they're using Netflix, then you just need to make sure that you get the money out of Netflix that you deserve. You've got all these deals and you don't want to threaten them because you don't want to steal from yourself. But at the same time, you also want to be sure you're making money where the people who are willing to pay you are. That leads us to our second of 3 red flags. Evidence that Netflix's streaming service discourages users from purchasing newly released DVDs. The studio see indications that for even hit films, which likely won't appear on Netflix's streaming service for years, some Netflix subscribers are satisfied to wait until they do.
You know what it is even though the Netflix instant streaming catalog is old, there's some great movies in there, and there's certain ones of them that I'll know I'll eventually get around to seeing them, and it's just so easy that I don't want to be bothered to have to find a way to buy certain movies right now. There's certain movies that I know I absolutely am going to watch when they come out on Netflix instant streaming. I missed Inglourious Basterds in the theatrical release, and I've just never gotten around to purchasing it for download. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'll see when it comes out, you know? That's how it was with Moon as well. Moon was phenomenal, and the day it came out on Netflix and instant streaming I was giddy.
I remember in 1999, I decided that I was going to buy a DVD a month and start building my DVD collection of my favorite movies. And then at some point, 2004, 2005, I realized this is ridiculous. I don't ever watch these movies. I pay $30 for this movie, and then I stick it on a shelf. I watch it once, and I never watch it again. And they've even talked about how a lot of DVD movies just remain shrink-wrapped on people's shelves. They buy them and never watch them. So, yes, I think Netflix is having a little bit of an encouraging effect, but I think there's a broader awareness that, gosh, I have the internet. I have so many things I can watch, and the internet is archiving everything. Even in BitTorrent, it's archived. It's out there. I don't need to hold on to it in case it disappears, and I'm the last person on earth to have a copy, of Major League. So I don't need to have it in my house. It's not Netflix per se. It's just an entirely changed way of thinking about ownership of things.
Did you really just pick Major League out of the blue as the movie that you wanted to say that you had?
Winning.
Who is it?
Who's the star?
It says Tiger Blood on you. What is this?
Adonis DNA right here, baby.
All right.
Well, doesn't it seem like for a situation like that, the problem is not that Netflix is eating into their the usage. It's they're not offering this on enough platforms. I mean, users are platform agnostic. They're going to go where stuff is cheap and reliable, and Netflix. Instant streaming is cheap and reliable. You play your fat fee.
But I've said this several times before. Netflix does not realize how much more they could charge for the streaming on demand service. I mean,
shut up.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Shut your filthy mouth.
No,
actually, I think they do. I think they do, but they're walking that very careful line between overcharging for a system that doesn't have everything everybody wants yet, and being able to pay the royalties to the movie studios that they want to be able to pay. So it's going to go up, but it's going to go up very slowly. And I have to say, Reed Hastings has played this very well. This is the biggest challenge he's going to face.
Yeah, that's the thing. As long as the price goes up incrementally, and as long as each time there is an associated increase in value along with the increase in price. For example, if it comes out there like, hey, bad news is we're charging $5 more a month. Good news, we're adding 30,000 new titles. And then that next one happens again, $5 more a month, but we're adding 60,000 more titles. And now, at some point, without even seeing how you got there, you're paying $25 a month, but now you have everything, and you decide.
It's interesting that THR.com reported that there might be, I guess Tom Egan, Colin Stewart analyst, was saying that Netflix might take the step of separate tiers. So, for instance, when they renew their Starz deal, which has been widely reported as being a very small amount of money, and when it is renewed, Netflix is going to have to pay a huge amount of money. He's saying, why not make Starz an additional $2 per month? So you keep your Netflix subscription right where it is, but if you want the Starz stuff, you pay an additional $2. So it gets to that cable model of like, hey, you want HBO, you pay a little bit more. You want Starz, you pay a little bit more. Paid content had a really good argument that that's not going to work. Netflix is not going to embrace that kind of tiered pricing right now because the appeal of Netflix is very simple. I pay, I get my DVDs, I get my streaming. It's all in one package. I don't have to think about it. And adding tiered pricing like that would go against that model and work against Netflix. I think we'll just see graduated price increases.
Now, I tell you what I could see down the road as far as graduated pay would be a time windowing of content where for let's say for your $10 a month you get everything that's more than 5 years old or whatever, and then but then for $5 more you get movies 2 to 5 years old, and then for $5 more than that you get stuff that is current, or maybe there's a big jump where you pay $20 more and then you get whatever's in the current video rental market, and at that point they might even turn a profit because I'll spend $20 a month for the ability to watch any movie at the exact same time that it comes out in the video stores. I can't believe I'm saying video stores, or when DVDs are available. But meanwhile, I may be vastly overpaying for the number of those movies that I would watch in a given month. I don't know.
Well, and here's the other side of it. The third red flag is even if Netflix did raise their prices and could pay a lot of money to license this stuff, films offered on Netflix lose value rapidly because cable and traditional broadcasters won't go near a title once Netflix starts streaming it because Netflix took the scarcity out of the equation. So now if TNT shows Major League and I know I can stream it on Netflix, I'm not going to bother watching it on TNT because that's losing.
I disagree. Because first of all, no, and we'll take major.
You disagree with that? That's a concern, or you disagree that it should be a concern? Because what they're saying is that's the concern.
I understand that they think that's how it is, but there's no way that's going to be the case because I found myself on an elliptical machine watching the entirety of Pretty Woman on TBS. There is never shut up, Justin Robert Young. There is never going to be a moment in my entire life that I'm going to decide that you know what I want to watch on Netflix streaming? Let me bring up Pretty Woman. That Jason Alexander was hilarious in that. And that's not going to happen. And what they're doing with their channel content is they're curating an experience, and part of that experience means showing you stuff that you don't think that you're going to like, but you end up watching it. And I'm not ashamed that I watched Pretty Woman while working on the elliptical.
But that's again. It's not only Netflix. I think it's the same thing with the airline issue. It's like their biggest thing is iPods and iPads and other ways that you can get content onto a plane. And in this particular case, it's expansion of cable. It's iTunes. It's the Zune Marketplace. It's watching stuff on Xbox. To single out Netflix, I mean, Tom, you hit it absolutely in the head. This is all different symptoms of paranoia of what happened with Apple with the music store. These are all reverberations by the fact that at one point in time, Steve Jobs walked into a boardroom with the 5 major record labels and said, "Hey guys, roll the dice on this crazy scheme I have." And that is the defining moment in terms of major studio carriage of entertainment in the last 15 years. And it will be for the next 10.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we think you're going to love it. Oh, and one more thing. I get to keep all the money. All right, let's move on to another big story.
Stop everything. It's another big story.
Is that guy free-basing in the video for another big story?
Did you say free-basing or free-basting?
Maybe he's free-basting. He's expressing his freedom to baste. Yeah, so what's the story? 80s blockbusters responsible for Hollywood sucking now. This is about how nobody's acknowledging how great Inception is. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. This is a GQ article, and it's a very long and very involved article with what's wrong with Hollywood, and some of it's stuff you've heard before about, they only want to approve blockbusters and they don't want to take any risks. But the interesting part of it, to me, and obviously to Rob Bishiza of Boing Boing, which is where I saw it linked, is the idea that Inception is being ignored by Hollywood right now. So when a blockbuster... Yeah, when a blockbuster like Transformers does well, everybody says, see, that's the kind of movies people want. You don't take any risks. You give them a sequel. You give them what they want, action, drama, all of that. It proves the rule. But then Inception comes along, and he has a really good way of telling this in the article. I'm just going to sum it up. But essentially everyone said, well, this is just a favor to Chris Nolan. It's not going to go anywhere. Studio's just doing it because they owe Chris Nolan for The Dark Knight. Not a problem. Then a little closer to release, they started trashing it a little more and saying things like, yeah, it's not going to do very well. This is not going to last more than a couple of weeks out of the box. First week, it does really well, and all of a sudden, all the critics are saying, or not critics, but the industry folks are saying, well, yeah, it did really well the first week because people were just curious what it was all about. But watch it drop like a stone next week. It continued to drive word of mouth and fill the seats every week for weeks and weeks and weeks. It actually lasted longer than most movies do at a high level of profit, and it made a ton of money.
Almost $1 billion? Like $1 billion.
Yeah. The industry still says, yeah, well, every once in a while, weird stuff happens. That doesn't mean anything. And they will not take risks on adult movies, and that's what this author's main point is they're targeting 25-year-old and younger males because those are the people they can get into the theaters, and they know how to make a cheap enough movie that they can sell for worldwide, for countrywide release and fill the seats and make money off of it.
Yes. Well, and it's look, I'm not going to say that I don't understand their position. I mean, if you're running a business, you know that Toy Story 8's going to make a freaking mint, so you freaking bet on the sure thing. But from an artistic perspective, I mean, certainly Inception was not only one of the greatest financial and storytelling successes of 2010, but probably of the last 10 years, as far as it came out of nowhere. Such an original idea, so brilliantly executed, and what a tragedy that it got so snubbed at the Oscars. Freaking stupid self-congratulatory jerks.
What Mark Harris at GQ is pointing out is the movie studios are putting the crunch on things because they're not making as much money as they used to. They're worried about the internet. They're worried about things like Netflix. And so they're being very conservative in what they're willing to take a risk on. And yet they'll take risks on, whatever it is, like another sequel of Aliens or, another Transformers movie. That isn't a guarantee, right? But it's a mindset that says, well, if Transformers did well, nobody's going to fire me. I'm not going to get in trouble for approving another Transformers movie. But if Sean Penn comes into me with a script, about an aging AIDS patient in Cambodia, I'm not touching that. Because the execution might make it so that it blows up and becomes a huge hit, but it's all about the execution. Transformers doesn't have to be executed right. Transformers can be executed really shoddily, and it'll still sell. That's the point Mark Harris makes.
Do you know what totally has changed my view of possibly the world? Because you're talking about like this hypothetical person that needs to approve one project or the other. I'm telling you, man, that experience of watching The Wire has fundamentally altered my way of seeing the way everyone does their jobs. Everyone's just looking for their next opportunity to advance. And it's I'm telling you, man, if you didn't participate in our great The Wire experiment, you've got to do it, because I could see that guy now in all walks of life, not just from Hollywood, but in government,
advertising, government, journalism.
Can I?
Yeah. Please.
I have a theory here.
We'll let him talk.
Yes.
Let the Unabomber speak.
I have a manifesto that I'd like to explain to you in painful detail. So, number one, there's less money out there, and that's indisputable. That people are going to theaters less to go see things, and there's a lot of reasons.
Okay, wait, you just said two totally contradictory things. You said there's less money out there, and it's indisputable. Meanwhile, last week we covered most profitable year ever for movies. So it's like there are fewer people going.
Because of 3D.
Yes. Right, but there are fewer people going, and that is not disputable. But don't say there's not less money out there, because clearly there is.
No.
Yeah.
Then you're correct. But they're having to work for it hard, and that's part of doing the 3D stuff. That's part of bumping ticket prices. They're having to adjust because there is a decline in people getting up out of their houses and going to see a movie.
Right.
With that being a reality, I think, and I don't know if I've heard people say this, but brands have become more valuable than actors. That it used to be that you could get people that people liked from other movies, put them in a new movie. You could take Rocky and make him Rambo, and you like Sylvester Stallone, so you're going to go see him. Okay, here's a guy, now he's in a new situation. Now at this point, actors have almost lost more credibility than brands, where it's like even Batman. How many crap Batman movies did we have to sit through? And then all of a sudden, with Christopher Nolan's taking over, Christian Bale's the new Batman, we all went out and, Batman Begins did well, Dark Knight was gigantic, and Dark Knight Rises is going to be, it's going to make Inception look like, Baby's Day Out. Right. So, I think with what we're seeing is all these 80s remakes is you're taking what are brands that we also are rich in nostalgia for a key demo. And that is like what you said, 25 to, 35, 45, something like that.
Jerry, did you read that Mark Harris article? Because he makes exactly that same point.
I didn't.
But he's just as smart as Mark Harris, and I think he just
I think that's great, because he makes exactly that point about brands, and he makes that point about celebrities used to be brands, and now they're not anymore because it's too risky. And all of this is happening because of the squeeze of the internet and the fear of the internet. Nobody wants to take a risk because the money is tight. There's tons of money out there, but there's not the free flowing money that it used to, where you could say, sure, Harvey Weinstein, we'll take a flyer on this art film because it just needs to be done. Yeah, and that is going away. And so you get this mini season right at the end of the year to get your good stuff in for the Oscars, and then that's it. everything else is summer blockbuster the rest of the year long.
Yeah, well, I mean, but Harvey Weinstein did. I mean, they won for King's Speech because he took a flyer on art film that they had to, rob old ladies in Britain to get the money for. As much as I think it wasn't as good of a movie as Inception.
Right.
Like, Weinstein is, I mean, as big of a scumbag as Harvey Weinstein and his brother Ken.
Yeah, you hate stutterers. I get that. That's just one of those things. But
yeah.
All right. Well, let's do. You want to talk about the HBO Ultraviolet project?
HBO Ultraviolet project, is that yet another big story?
Stop it.
Tuck in your bootstraps. It's yet another big story.
So HBO likely to clear the way so that Ultraviolet, which is a product of the movie industry, can come to fruition. Ultraviolet sounds interesting. It's an effort that takes some technology standards and allows you, once you buy a digital copy of a movie, to store it in the cloud and watch it on whatever device you have. So once you buy it, it's yours to keep.
No, I mean, how this is a technology. Isn't this what we already do with Steam with our video games? Isn't this already what we do with
yes, exactly
with
that
in the App Store? Isn't this all? I mean,
it is essentially the movie industry getting behind their own version of Steam, which no one can do without the movie industry's approval. And so they're actually being smart. Let's give them credit this time. They went, hey, wait a minute. Don't get me wrong. We actually run this. Let's be the ones to put this in place.
And I'm happy that they're moving towards it. But a radical new technology where we take your name.
But he said radical new technology.
Brian Brushwood owns Inception. It says here on the docket. It's called a spreadsheet. It's revolutionary.
Nobody said revolutionary. They're just looking around at all this stuff like Steam in the App Store and going, oh crap, we should do that too.
It's definitely a step in the right direction. And it occurs to me that maybe not everyone's into their app stores or Steam. If you're not familiar with it, Steam on the PC is now the world's largest video game platform. There are more people who have Steam installed on their PCs than there are people who own Xboxes, PS3s, Wiis. I think maybe combined all of those. It's ridiculous, their install base. And one of the things that they're doing is they make it really easy to buy games and download them to your computer. And all you need to do, you could re-download them infinitely on as many different systems as you want. You just log in with your Steam ID and you could get your entire library of games. And the effect it's had has been absolutely amazing. I was 10 years ago an unrepentant software pirate, and I have totally gone legit thanks to Steam.
And now Brian is a repentant software pirate.
Exactly. But I seriously have not pirated a game for years because Steam has made it so easy to grab all the games that I want. The prices are fantastic. They have these incredible sales. The perks are amazing. It's easier and better than piracy. And once that happened, I'm buying games. I buy games that I already own because I don't want to be bothered to go, even though I know the disc is right over there. I'll buy it again on Steam rather than have to go all the way over there, dig up the freaking disc and put it in the system and stuff. And if there's a chance that they can bring this experience to the movie world with Ultraviolet, more power to them. I hope everything works out great for it.
Well, yeah, because wouldn't that be great if you bought a digital copy of a TV show or movie from iTunes or from Amazon, and it was part of the Ultraviolet system, and that was it. Now you had it on whatever computer you owned. As long as you authorized it, it was yours. In fact, Apple's talking about providing this kind of service themselves through the cloud, through MobileMe, and we'll see if that ends up being a participant in Ultraviolet or not. But the holdup to part of this was the licensing, because especially HBO has the kind of licensing terms where they secure the digital rights for everything they show on HBO. So every time they get a movie and it's available on HBO, they shut down the digital rights. Now, they'll show it on HBO Go if you happen to have access to that. But to have access to that, you have to have a participating cable subscriber and all of that sort of hoo-ha. So not everybody has it. And even then, not everything they showed would be on HBO Go. They just added like 114,000 new titles to it, but it's still not everything HBO has. So the big move for Ultraviolet was HBO agreeing that they would not exercise that exclusivity for Ultraviolet titles, because otherwise you'd go and let's say you'd buy Harry Potter right? A month after it comes out, and you buy it on Ultraviolet, and you're all excited, and you've got it in your library, and then you go maybe 3 months later, like, I'm going to rewatch Harry Potter. I love that stuff. And then you press play, and it says, we're sorry, Harry Potter is temporarily unavailable because HBO holds the license to it right now. Check back in a couple months.
Right. No, and look, all of this is a step in the right direction, and it's really good. It just bristle a little bit to have them so proud of themselves for something that's been so well pioneered well beforehand.
Well, now, where are you getting this? I mean, are you just imagining that they're proud of themselves, or
I don't know. It's just I'm frustrated because it's taken so long for us to get here, and it's been so obvious that this is where we want to go, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a baby because I've been pouty that it's taken so long, and now that they finally have crossed the finish line, I don't even want to clap for them. I'm like, you jerks! Why'd you have to go so slow?
Yeah, you don't have to trip them after they get across the finish line.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard Justin. He said it's a good thing when your mom got text messaging. Man, don't be mad at your mom. She's just a little slow on the text messaging.
That's a really good analogy. The movie industry is like your mom. They're they're a little behind the times. They don't quite understand, and they make decisions that you don't agree with. But when they get it right, you still get it.
I should be nothing but happy about this. You got it.
Yeah. Why do you hate your mom? That's just weird. Oh, it's Justin's mom that you hate. Never mind. Yeah. I get it.
Hold on. Don't anger the hobo.
All right, let's move on to
Film.
Tonight, a very special segment of Film Found.
Yeah, man. So I didn't know. How did I miss the news that there's going to be a new Blade Runner movie, or at least they're talking about it?
No idea. Like all of a sudden, it just exploded this week. Everybody's talking about the new Blade Runner movie and what it's going to be like, and all of this stuff. Essentially, it's in the works. The producers have it. They haven't got a director signed off. They don't even have a script. They intend to set it either before or after the first Blade Runner movie. So it could be a prequel. It could be a sequel. They just want to keep it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like that's not news, but it is news because what it's saying is we're not going to remake Blade Runner. And the actual story here is I forget the name of the group. Well, what's the name of the group that essentially they acquired the rights to the Blade Runner film universe? Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking for that too. We spoke with the producers behind this project, Andrew Kosov, Broderick Johnson, and Bud Yorkin.
Okay. Yes, and So basically. What they are saying is that we are not going to remake Blade Runner, and I think that is a significant question that a lot of. It's not
going to be a dark reboot of Blade Runner because really, you wouldn't be able to see it if it was any dark.
Maybe they would buck the trend, and they're like, "We're going to do a happy, positive reboot of Blade Runner,
a lighthearted reboot."
all of the replicants are C-3PO.
Replicant, and I want.
Of course.
2, 3, 4.
Blade Runner Babies, the musical, is what they call it. It's like, what happened to the replicants before they grew up? What wacky adventures did they get into? Oh, Nexus 6, did you skin a cat again?
Roy, we're going to send you off to the colonies now.
The 8-minute jiggity jig home again dance sequence. I'm really excited. But isn't this kind of what we're talking about? This is a successful movie from the 80s.
Yes.
That they're now making more of. Why? Because we love Blade Runner. We're going to go see something with the Blade Runner name on it.
Well, look, I know, and we don't mind, and we've talked about this. We enjoy seeing stuff we've loved in the past come back in new incarnations. So it's like, we're not begrudging it. It's just that after a while, when the whole industry is based on nothing but retreads and reboots and mashups and prequels and sequels, you want to see more new ideas, and that's part of what was so great about the success story about Inception. But as far as the Blade Runner story, they don't even know if it's going to be a prequel or a sequel. But it's obvious when you read the interview, these guys love the material. They love the franchise. They want to make something good. But they even acknowledge, they're like, hey, man, we're not even saying there's going to be a movie. We may not get the traction to work everything out. But it's obvious that they're excited to have access to the franchise. And whatever happens, I mean, I'm encouraged by what I read in the interview.
Yeah, I'm encouraged by that. I'm also encouraged that we're finally getting the Phantom Menace in 3D. It's been announced February 10th, 2012. We talked about this on Tech News today, and somebody wrote in and was like, hey, think of it this way. It takes a while to get 3D right. Let them make all the mistakes on Phantom Menace.
Yeah, you know what? That's not bad. But let me just say this. The most brilliant idea I heard came from, that was
the wrong time to switch to that video.
No, that's perfect because that ties in. The Unabomber over here, over my right shoulder, said he would pay really good money if Red Letter Media were to release an audio track commentary that you were meant to play side by side while watching The Phantom Menace. So like you could be in the theater with your iPod earbuds in, and you could be the one jerk laughing inappropriately at random moments during the whole movie. How brilliant would that be? And I can't believe nobody's
just do that anyway. Forget the 3D re-release, just so you can do it at home while watching your DVD or whatever, your pay-per-view or your HBO that won't allow you to watch it on ultraviolet.
Well, and like Justin pointed out that Riff Tracks does release the tracks that you play alongside established movies and maybe even movies in the theater. But I don't know that anybody does. Like I remember Kevin Smith talked about doing something like that for Zack and Miri before it tanked. Talked about releasing a podcast that you would play while the movie was. You would go to the theater, watch the movie live, and you would hear Kevin Smith talking about the movie and how they made all the decisions as they went along. I would love to have more commentary tracks come out for movies in theaters. Are you gonna go? Can you bring yourself to watch The Phantom Menace live?
Yes. Yeah, I can. I'm the kid in school who would eat anything, so I could do it. And if I need to for frame rate to report back, I could totally steel myself for that.
More power to you, buddy. I'm going to keep my promise that we're not going to talk about Star Wars in this segment.
All I'll say is two things. Number one, Tom, did you eat anything at school, even if it made you really, really, really sleepy and bored? Because that's what I assume the Phantom Menace experience would be, even in 3D. And number two, I am serious. Red Letter Media, the guy behind that, whose name escapes me right now, we've been in contact with, Mr. Plinkett, I will pay $2 more than the cost of a 3D ticket to The Phantom Menace to buy an audio track of him making fun of The Phantom Menace. That will be my expenditure to go and laugh and just have a fun time listening to the original review was about the length of the movie already.
Oh, absolutely.
Just set it to a new thing where he's making fun of things specifically. Please
just sync it up. Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Did you Did you watch this trailer for James Gunn's Super?
I was just about to say, I have not seen the trailer yet. This has got, what, Kevin Bacon, Liv Tyler, Ellen Page, and Rainn Wilson?
Yes.
How can this not be anything but awesome?
Well, let's take a look at it. I'm excited about this. Somebody sent this to us earlier today.
I knew I was losing her.
Excuse me. Have you seen my wife?
I don't think she wants to see you anymore.
Sarah!
Don't touch my car again. I'm going. That's not the kind of touching I meant.
Jock, he stole my wife. Can you arrest him?
Sometimes it's better just to accept these things.
Batman, batarang, pipe bombs, utility belt. Green Arrow has a bow and arrow.
Okay.
Why do you need all those?
I'm making up my own superhero. He needs a weapon.
That'll do.
Cool.
All it takes to be a superhero is the choice to fight evil.
Shut up, crime.
Don't steal. Don't deal drugs. Don't molest kids.
Brutal assault by the Crimson Bolt continued last night.
Are you him?
No.
That's cool. I could be your kid's sidekick. Ta-da! How do I look?
That's inappropriate.
Frank is the only thing that will save me. We will take those suckers down.
That's good.
Let's do this. You just sit here and wait for crime to happen?
That's right.
This is so boring.
Yes, I can tell you now it's You're supposed to kill him!
I'm just learning. You have to teach me these things.
This is not not about good and evil. This is about she loving me more because I am interesting.
Yeah. Shut up, crime! Face the wrath of the Crimson Bolt!
All right, Tom, are you totally stoked about that or what?
I want to be more stoked than I feel. I will be honest.
What? Get out of town. That looks awesome.
I loved Kick-Ass the first time I saw it, and I think it will be better with Ellen Page, Rainn Wilson.
This is Kick-Ass with Ellen Page and Kevin Bacon and Rainn Wilson. It's billion. Come on.
The tone seems totally different. I mean, maybe, you know, as a fan of the genre, it just, to me, Kick-Ass was, you know, a story that started normal and then got fantastic.
Yes.
You know, and by that ending scene, it is as ridiculous and over the top as
any comic
as a
movie.
Schumacher Batman film.
Right.
Super seems kind of in the opposite direction, where it remains this very real story of a man gone psychopathic, which is something that, like, they don't even explain in that trailer that Kevin Bacon's actually a drug dealer.
Oh, he actually is a bad guy.
He actually is a bad guy. So there's a reason why.
Maybe it's a problem with the trailer then.
No, I thought the trailer was adorable, though. The only thing negative is that you're like, oh, this is Kick-Ass, but with a different cast and a slightly different. But it's like
I'm not saying I won't. What I'm saying is my enthusiasm is not matching your level. I am looking forward to it. But it's like it's like when you get invited to that party and you walk in and everybody's like already kind of drunk and you're just like, okay,
right.
I mean, James Gunn is awesome. I loved Slither. I loved his Dawn of the Dead remake, and I think
this is the thing. I love every piece of this. That's why I'm like, I want to be more excited than I am because I love that too. I love Ellen. I love Rainn Wilson is hilarious, and he looks like he's perfectly, Rainn Wilson in this movie. But I'm just not feeling, that gut feeling of excitement. Maybe it just needs to grow on me.
Somebody woke up on the Brian Brushwood side of the bed. What's up with this? This is freaking me out.
Maybe I'm dead inside. I don't know.
You guys should go check out Michael Rooker, our friend from NSFW, in Rainn Wilson's training to be a superhero. Took him out shooting on a gun range.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Michael Rooker.
For this movie. So
it took me a while to piece that together, that this was the exact one. But yeah, if you want to see Rainn Wilson shoot a gun possibly for the first time, under the tutelage of one Michael Rooker, it's out there. Just type in James Gunn, Rainn Wilson, Michael Rooker. Joe Cambiaggio's YouTube channel. So what have you been watching, Tom?
Well, I just saw The Adjustment Bureau this weekend, which is very loosely based on a Philip K. Dick story called The Adjustment Team. It stars Matt Damon and the English woman who was really awesome in it. It was like half the movie was fantastic. I'd say even 3/4 of the movie was fantastic. It is an incredible plot, obviously because they stole it from Philip K. Dick's mind. Matt Damon, I think he's serviceable. Like, he does a good job in playing that Matt Damon part, and I was not disappointed. She was really quirky, really good love interest. Freaking John Slattery from Mad Men played the weird guy who's behind the scenes manipulating events, but he played him like he was Sterling from Mad Men. So he had that quirky sense of humor to it. Brilliant casting. But at the very end of the movie, and I don't want to spoil the ending, it got light. And it's not a light movie.
Well,
you
and
want
very
it to remain intense, and it doesn't.
Yeah, very rarely is any of Dick's stuff end up or should end up being light. I can't believe I thought I'd read just about everything Dick had done, but I
short story
with this. I must have missed the short.
And it's an entirely different. I mean, in Adjustment Bureau, essentially, Matt Damon plays a senator, and he's losing his race, and he ends up not being delayed for something that he's supposed to be delayed for, and he comes across this team of people who actually adjust reality to make it follow a plan. And they never really say, is it God or is it not or whatever, but it's it's left very vague. The adjustment team part of that is directly out of the Dick story, but there's no senator, there's no love interest. It's kind of a mundane person, which most of Philip K. Dick's characters were very workaday people, and so they spiced it up for this movie.
Okay, all right. Well, so you give it a thumbs up, thumbs down? What do you say?
It's not a must-see. If you want to wait till it gets a little cheaper, I think it's good. But if you watch it, I think you'll find it enjoyable. I liked it. The only thing I could really pick on was the ending.
How does it compare to, for example, A Scanner Darkly, one of the less successful?
It's nowhere close to it. A Scanner Darkly really captured that Philip K. Dick universe. This captures a slice of it. I thought IO9 actually summed it up the best. They said it's a romantic comedy about Philip K. Dick. Like you can't fit those two memes together, and they tried to make a romantic comedy out of a Philip K. Dick story.
Oh, that's fair enough. So I watched. I followed up on our challenge to watch Monsters because do you remember last week we said, hey, we should watch Monsters for this next week. The very next day it showed up on Netflix instant streaming. Did
fantastic.
you?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it. No, I totally failed.
Yeah, I actually ended up watching it twice because the first time I watched it, I was at a hotel. And then the internet got so bad that I had to watch it at a different hotel. So I saw it in half.
You actually checked out of that hotel and went to a different hotel so you could finish watching the movie?
The next day. I ended the viewing experience at one hotel, and then the next day I recontinued it.
I see.
Here's the thing. I liked it a lot, and especially and I made Justin watch the beginning of it again last night. He did not feel connected to the characters in a way I did. I actually go with the character. Okay, well,
I like the.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't like the guy, but I actually thought both of them were really interesting. The one thing that I noticed when I watched it at like medium resolution was how glaringly, I don't want to say bad, but how glaringly you could tell what was CG. And I know this movie was made for $500,000, so every time you see a tank, it's not a real tank. Heck, man, there were times that they digitally stuck in just guns, leaning, like they apparently couldn't even afford a real gun to lean on a wall, so they had a CG gun laying there. And when I watched it in medium resolution, it really popped out at me. When I was at the hotel, and the internet was so lousy that it kept having to drop the quality down, weirdly, then it looked okay because I couldn't really tell what was so digital pop out. But then again, when I watched it at home last night with Justin, everything was in HD and it looked good at HD. So bizarrely, it looked good in high def. It looked good in stupidly low def. It looked really cheesy in the middle def, which I'd never run into before. But I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely, it's worth definitely worth your 2 hours, and it's its own unique take on a what did you describe? It was supposed to be what movie with monsters? Yeah. Forget it. You got nothing. All right. Anyway, I liked it a lot.
Justin, this is my first time in Orlando, and I'm hearing ordnance fire. There's explosions going on. Do I need to?
Kick open your window and throw out your valuables, and you'll be perfect.
That's you're clearly close to Disney World.
Is that what it is? Okay, it's the happiest place on earth blowing up.
No, but still, at that point, you should still kick open your window and throw out your valuables.
Did you have another one you were watching before we move on?
Yeah, I have. I rewatched, and I didn't mean to. It was by accident. I was just trying to throw something in front of my daughter to keep her busy, and I ended up rewatching How to Train Your Dragon. And holy crow, man, it is so good, Tom. And we've talked about it before, but it's like that thing is note perfect. It is the movie where DreamWorks has really come into their own. They can go toe to toe with Pixar.
I gotta watch this because everybody says the same thing to me, from Scott Johnson to Brian Brushwood to the guy on the bus. Like, everybody seems to love this movie. I've got to watch it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, you really do, and so does Justin Robert Young because he hasn't watched it either. It's so good.
Go see it together when I'm in Austin, Justin.
There we go.
Done and done.
It's a date.
It's a date. I'll bring the Pellegrino.
You know what? I'll wear my tube top.
Ah, crap. I spilled Pellegrino on my brand new MacBook Pro.
I'm sorry. I was busy high-fiving myself over the segue where I said I'd wear my tube top.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Oh, that was good.
Don't you know anything about segues, Brian?
What Yeah, okay, all right. Hey,
all right. Yeah, we got to start moving through this stuff. But I mentioned earlier, I think I said something like 140,000. It's 1,400 movies that are being added to HBO Go service. So if you do get that service, you got a lot more to choose from there. More Game of Thrones goodness, a real live, honest to goodness trailer, not just like an impressionistic showing of scenes, but people doing dialogue, seeing the guts of the show for Game of Thrones is out. It was released exclusively on the Inside TV blog on EW.com. Are you still excited about a Game of Thrones?
Crazy excited. And what's funny is like you can have some kind of like latent interest in something that sort of fades away over time because you think that, it's like, oh, no, I'm excited about when it happens. And then all of a sudden something will flip a switch and it'll just bubble up. Like the fact that they announced a definite date for A Dance with Dragons, the next book in the series, has me super excited. And in fact, the next thing I have to do is check out and find out whether or not Roy Dotrice is reading the audiobook for that one, because he did a masterful job on the other books for the audiobook as well. And then that coupled with the fact that we're launching this show, so good, man. So good. So excited.
Yeah, no, and every piece I see, including this trailer, looks just the way it should for this series. And you're right. George R.R. Martin has announced the next book's going to come out July 12th. We're going to see this series starting in April. I think it's April 12th. I could be confusing the 12s now, but we are definitely going to have a winter is coming summer. That makes any sense? It doesn't make any sense, does it?
Oh, if it makes you feel better, it is summer in the books.
I'll wear my tube top.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I play it again or?
The Last Airbender: Legend of Korra has an exclusive cast announcement.
Yeah, this is huge because I did not realize, and it kills me and for those of you who don't know, I absolutely love capital LOVE Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original animated series on Nickelodeon. It is easily one of the top 3 animated movie television experiences of my entire life. I watched the whole thing straight through, watched the whole thing again immediately after straight through. It's so good. And it makes me so upset that that it was perverted into such a terrible, terrible movie by M. Night Shyamalan. But the good news is they're rocking with a whole nother story, animated from the same team as I understand it. But they've got basically they released the cast here. Daniel Day Kim from Lost will be one of the characters.
Nice.
David Faustino as Mako.
Bud Bundy.
Yeah, that's Bud Bundy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Regardless, Bud Bundy.
Simmons,
J.K. Simmons is who?
J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
The dad from Juno.
Yeah, of course. J.K.
Awesome,
Simmons. A fantastic cast. And if you haven't seen it, you can watch entire chunks of it on Netflix instant streaming. Check out Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yes, it is made for kids. And there are brief moments that you are reminded of that. But by and large, it is as detailed and as rich a tale as I've ever experienced. It's amazing.
All right, before we move on to Interferon, you're watching Boardwalk Empire. Bored or not bored?
I'm plowing through it, and I get what you're saying as far as being kind of like meh, but I kind of like having a show that I don't need to watch with my wife, where it's like I'm not
Maybe
leaving
that's the mistake I'm making.
Yeah, no, it's like I'm just plowing right through them, and this is not traditionally a time period that I'm super interested in, but I do find myself getting sucked into what do you call it, verisimilitude, where it's like it's believable. I believe it as this time period. Yeah, I'm digging it, man. It's very well done, and of course I can't get enough of what's his name, the funny face guy.
Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi.
Joe Pesci.
Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi. All right.
Just really funny looking.
Well, the fact that I messed up that name makes me think I must have the flu. I need some interferon.
Like he's my coach in the corner. Justin Robert Young leans over and says, "Man, Thomas just stepped up his game, man. You got to come back with a better segue."
That was like my crap segue. What are you talking about?
Oh, that was talking junk. Oh. Yeah. It's like, oh, I just did that in my back pocket. What, you want me to actually try, kiddo?
You're not ready for the segues up in here.
All right, we actually have a news story in here. Google apparently has hired Malik Ducard, Senior VP of Digital Distribution at Paramount, for an unspecified role in content business development. That's a big deal because Viacom is suing Google right now still over the YouTube stuff from way back in the middle of the last decade. What Paid Content points out is it's strange the way Google has been staffing up with entertainment types since they hired Robert Kinkle, who came aboard in September of last year. There's no sense of what Google or YouTube is up to. The likeliest scenario would be bringing in premium content, according to Paid Content. But they haven't been doing that. So a more recent rumor has Google attempting to strike deals with celebrities to create content on their own self-branded YouTube pages, as reported by Vulture. So what do you think of this idea of YouTube actually going straight to the source and saying, hey, they don't value you as brands anymore. Let's bring you direct.
Winning.
Yeah, well, you know what? I would say winning, except for that that's our next story, actually. He's talking about Sheen on YouTube.
No, I think we can talk about these two at the same time, because the other story to talk about on Interference is Charlie Sheen taking his crazy show straight to Ustream. And I mean crazy both as crazy good and loco, depending on whether you're in his corner or a troll. But, so here's an example of a guy who's like, yeah, I'm going to take it direct. I'm going to go to the people. I'm going to tired of sending all this traffic to other sites. I'm going to do it myself. Did you watch it, Brian?
Did you watch? Stop laughing, Justin. He's having a hard time laughing because he did not see the way Charlie Sheen looked.
He looks like Charlie Sheen playing a third-pit drug dealer in a 90s drama. He's like the streetwise drug dealer.
It was this weird combination of Frank Sinatra and Hunter S. Thompson that he was trying to channel. And it was kind of boring.
Well, okay, so did you experience the whole thing live while it was actually going down?
No, I actually had to watch it later afterwards because I was out watching the Adjustment Bureau when it was on.
It was kind of an electric experience because I tuned in maybe 30 minutes early and when there was only 40,000 people waiting patiently in the stream. And it was amazing to watch as every second 50 more people showed up on the stream until the number hit 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000, 100,000, 115,000. And I got to tell you, I am a tremendous fan of the way Charlie Sheen has been such an awesomely badass nut job in these interviews. And I wanted to see him win. I wanted to see him dazzle me with something entertaining and amazing. I wanted to see him suddenly go Kevin Smith. I wanted to see him be something awesome that would be a game changer and change things. And instead, it's as though, I remember the first live stream I ever tried to do. It did not go well. And I'm very thankful that I did do my first live stream immediately after having walked off the set of one of the most popular sitcoms in all of the world.
In front of the largest audience in
all of Ustream history. Yeah. It's a bummer because it's obvious that he hasn't had a place to build his chops up for this experiment.
Okay, but I mean, isn't this complete social proof that a celebrity, and they don't need to be as crazy as Charlie Sheen,
right?
But that they are, like what Tom said, that they can bring their brand to online.
Yes.
And there is a value there. And if everybody might have been turned off by kooky Charlie Sheen's crazy, let me say winning 15,000 times and show my tiger blood tattoo roadshow. But if all of a sudden he went down from 100,000 to 50,000, that's still a whole lot of people if he loses half his audience. And if you started hearing, oh my God, did you see what Charlie Sheen did on Ustream last week? You'd start watching again, you'd give it another shot because you'd assume, like, all right, so we had some rough jitters the first time, and you go back and watch because we have a different expectation for online content than we do television or movie content.
But what I saw, the cardinal sin was just being boring, man. It's like that's the one thing I didn't expect from him was I expected, either be a spectacular train wreck that I can't stop looking at, or be spectacularly awesome, but to just be boring, I didn't plan on that.
Yeah, here's my theory on that, and maybe I'm over psychoanalyzing this, but I think that Charlie Sheen is exhibiting symptoms of some sort of manic, or whether it's bipolar or some sort of manic stretch. Maybe it's totally natural. Maybe it's drugs. I have no idea, but he's definitely exhibiting all those signs. And so in a context of a 2020 interview, that sounds crazy. That just violates all of the rules, and these very serious questions are interposed against his reactions, and he has no inhibitions about throwing around his speak. And people who are on manic runs are attractive. They're cool. They're interesting. They're magnetic, and so that appeals to us. But when you put him in a room surrounded by his friends, suddenly you don't have that tension. You don't have that sort of that manic tension fighting against the system. It's all very complimentary. So he's not actually pushed to be as entertaining in that situation. And I think that's what you saw is like he was in context. And so therefore not very interesting.
Yeah, I totally, that's a brilliant observation. I can totally believe that. As far as like who can bridge that gap and who can be the first to really make it big as a new media personality from an old media background, I got to tell you, I know we don't necessarily do audio, but Kevin Smith announced that he's doing his Smodcast internet radio network. He's actually, to be honest, it sounds like he's trying to pull a Leo Laporte in taking a successful show with Smodcast and branch it out into where you have an entire variety of shows. So that'll be one to watch. And for those of you who don't listen, whether or not he's your flavor or not, I think he does bring the entertainment and the engagement and everything that I was hoping to see from the Charlie Sheen Ustream experience. You can get from listening to Kevin Smith online.
Give Charlie.
I think Rainn Wilson could do it as well.
I want Charlie to win.
He had one Ustream.
No, the guy got a tattoo that says winning. I want him to win. I want him to win.
And by the way, Tom,
you don't have to want him to win. He is winning.
Yes,
that's right. I'm sorry.
He's winning no matter what.
I'm sorry. That's true. That is true.
He's going to explode your feeble brain. Tom, did you see his super bipolar tweets the next day?
No, I didn't actually watch the Twitter the next day.
Yeah,
on Sunday. Because I was flying out here. What did he say?
He says, last night's live stream was treasonous to the movement. I'm making corrections. We'll be back soon. And then the next thing was Sheen's Corner, love it or hate it violently. Like, he was just like make your decision right now. Like, either you love it or you hate it right now. So it was like all like apologetic and then extremely defensive within 5 seconds in your Twitter timeline calendar. If you're not following Charlie Sheen, you are missing one of the first epic Twitter accounts in history.
Done.
All right, let's finish up with a few quick emails. Peter in Pennsylvania says,
right, with Brian and Tom on Fame Radio. Yeah,
I forgot. We have
Sorry,
that awesome
I almost forgot about this one too.
That awesome video.
All right, Peter in Pennsylvania says, have you seen the episode Siege, which aired 3 to 4 weeks ago? I won't spoil anything except to say that it involves a hostage situation. In my opinion, that was a big turning point for the show. Ever since then, Erica has become much more ruthless and badass, and the show as a whole is more exciting. I have to admit, I haven't seen any of Siege. Have you watched it?
No. Siege was the episode of, you said you were done with V, and he's I'm sorry.
Well, I see, this was all out of context. That part wasn't in here. I see. Siege was the name of an episode of V. I have not seen that episode because I'm still like 3 weeks behind now.
Okay, yeah. Well, so he says don't give up on V just yet. Is the gist?
I'll try.
I won't. I gave up on it last season.
That's the way I am. Yeah, all right. I remember seeing a post on Reddit about a digital product placement. The post was an image of the same scene of How I Met Your Mother with that girl from Bandcamp sitting there. I assume he means Allison Hannigan. Through the rerun of the episode, had a bag and a logo placed in the background. I couldn't find that image using 3 search engines too, but I did find this digital product placement. And there's a link to it. If you can open that up there, Raygun01, you can see here, this is from How I Met Your Mother. If you see on top, that's the actual clip from the show. And down, you can see that digitally added in the background is a television displaying, it says something country?
Country Strong.
Country Strong.
Wow.
What does that mean?
That's amazing.
But they've been talking about this for over a decade now, and they've talked about it being on, to be honest, the only reason we brought this up is because I remember hearing about it with friends back in '99 with, this week it's RC Cola, next week's the can is a Pepsi can.
Yeah.
Next week it's
a new movie. Country Strong is a new movie. I get it.
The sings a bunch of songs.
Right.
And so they're putting in a recent movie into a rerun. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Although it really does add, like, what if that really kind of changes the plot? Like, he's time traveling. Like Jason Segel's plot is him going through a temporal warp.
It could be. He wakes up and it's all a dream.
Exactly. How I Met Your Mother. I time traveled.
Sound like better. All right, one last email. I took your challenge and watched a random Netflix instant movie all the way through. It was Exam, an independent film in the vein of Cube.
Thomas, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. I think what you meant to read was, hey guys, I don't believe you've talked about the show already. The Starz original series Spartacus. I highly recommend it. Most people have already focused on the gratuitous sex and violence, of which there is plenty. But thankfully, the staying power for the show is found with its extremely entertaining mix of action and storytelling. The show is brought to you by the same people who also had a hand in the Hercules and Xena those shows from the 90s. If you like those, this series will seem somewhat familiar, except now you'll see almost comically bloody fights followed up by Lucy Lawless in a threesome. Which, well, you sold me there, sir.
It's a fact.
Okay, Spartacus Blood and Sand. Firing it up in this hotel room right here.
Huge fan of Spartacus. Do yourself a favor. Don't judge it by the first 2 or 3 episodes.
Okay.
They really kind of go outside their scope, where they try to make it like this 300 super epic battle stuff, and it's very obvious that they're doing green screen stuff and they have a very limited budget. So there are parts of the first and second episode where you're like, this looks terrible. And then once they kind of confine it to the Lotus where they're training the gladiators, it really, really shines. And that's also when the 2 stars of the series are Lucy Lawless and the dude from Rome, whose name escapes me, but he's a British actor. And they are fantastic. Super quotable. The plots are great. And boobs. And ladies, plenty of junk.
If you're into that.
There you go. Boobs and junk.
All right. Boobs and Junk is the name of my Bare Naked Ladies cover band. All right. framerateshow@gmail.com is our email if you'd like to send us a comment about all of that just happened. I have no idea how it happened, but I'm actually very pleased that we had Justin Robert Young along this time.
I can't believe it either. Apparently the Unabomber has some amazing insights. Thank you very much, Unabomber. Go back to your cabin.
That's it for Frame Rate. We'll see you later.